Hello, I'm Sister Rosemary Greco, the Director of Wisdom House Retreat and Conference Center in Litchfield, Connecticut. We're delighted this weekend to have with us Father Richard Rohr, a Franciscan priest, who is going to be speaking to us on the theme of the naked now, how the mystics, the Christian mystics, see, and how we can learn to see the way they do. We often are saying that we are seeking enlightenment, and we seek it in many different religions. But sometimes we are slow to look for it or even try to find it in Christianity. I think that's going to be something we'll be exploring this weekend. Father Richard Rohr is the Franciscan priest and the founder of the Center for Action and Contemplation, which is located in New Mexico. We are really happy to have with us this weekend Father Richard Rohr, and we welcome him to Wisdom House. Well, Father Richard, we're looking forward to this retreat this weekend on the theme of the naked now, learning to see as the mystics see. Can you tell us, how did you come with this title for this book?
Well, you know, it wasn't actually my choice. My choice was I wanted to call it the third eye. And, of course, I make the point in the book that's a Christian term from the 11th century, Richard of St. Victor. But most people don't know that. They think it's a Hindu term or a Buddhist term. So the publishers, they read the book, and they said, you use a phrase several times, living in the naked now. And I jokingly said, oh, you just want to get the word naked in the title. But they thought it would help people to center in on the grace of the present moment, the sacrament of the present moment, which is much that I'm trying to do in the book. So they chose the title. I went along with it. People are often surprised that authors really don't have the last say on the title or the cover. That's the work of the publisher.
At least you have the content.
The content is the same, yeah.
How would you describe this third eye then?
You know what? It's a great image because you can almost see the two eyes as an image of our natural tendency to see everything dualistically, either or, from this eye or that eye. So this is why it became a popular term in Hinduism and Buddhism. In fact, I know when I first taught in India, I noticed the cosmetic circle in the center of the forehead, and it has become a cosmetic decoration. But historically, they told me, it meant you were an enlightened person, that you went beyond either or thinking to synthetic, full eye seeing of the moment. And so in that, it really is a marvelous metaphor for what I'm trying to talk about.
Why though, is it so important to be looking through the third eye?
Well, if you don't lead people beyond this sort of contentious, adversarial, comparative, competitive thinking, we don't realize that we take that as normative. In fact, to even be an educated person gets you better at thinking in an argumentative way. We see it's taken over our politics, and even more sadly, it's taken over most churches. That it's the only mind the Western person has left is this contentious, argumentative, adversarial way of thinking. I got to prove you wrong, and catch you in what you said wrong. If you notice the many hostile encounters even Jesus has in the New Testament, they're always dualistic. It's people trying to prove that he is missing the truth. That very mind is what keeps you from the truth, because what it does, it invests your ego. It invests your need to be right, your need to be smart, as you think, your need to be better than someone else. So if you look out from that frame, you just never get very far, because you're looking out from the reference point of me, trying to protect me, promote me, defend me. And until you can change that reference point, you never can get to the truly contemplative mind.
I'm thinking how we've been trained sometimes always compare and contrast, so almost
right.
trained to look in
Oh, yes.
dual ways.
But I would say that's what education means. And I'm not against being educated. I'll try to describe that, dualistic thinking is good as far as it goes, but it doesn't go far enough. So we're not saying it's wrong, but it's just when you get to the great issues that people live or die for, dualistic thinking is no longer helpful. No.
Is there something in Christianity that helps us to live, to view things and to live without this dualistic separation?
See, as I try to say in the book, I believe Jesus was good at dualistic thinking. He says, you cannot serve God and mammon. That's dualistic thinking. But then, when he's really talking wisdom to you, he will say things like, let the weeds and the wheat both grow together. And the angels at the end of time will decide which is the weed and which is the wheat. And we get so excited about the first one, because that gives us a platform on which to stand, that many people, in fact, I'm going to say, sadly, most people in the modern world, even in the church, never get to the mystical level. They think that by yelling louder at the conservatives or the liberals or the gays or the straights or the blacks or the whites or whatever way they've divided reality, that the other side is all of a sudden going to say, oh, you're right. Show me where this happens. You'd think we would learn that adversarial thinking, the debate mind, is going to save the world. There's not a chance. All you do is you more deeply invest yourself in your position because you feel attacked, humiliated by the other group. Yeah.
Richard, is there a practice that could help us get to the mystical level?
You really do at this point in history, because I'm going to say, and this might seem like an overstatement, but I don't think it is. I don't think contemplation in the older tradition has been taught in the West for 500 years, right? Since the Reformation. Once we got into this adversarial either-or thinking, and then on top of that came the Enlightenment, where we invested even more in the left brain, and we wanted to show as Christians that we were smart, so we wanted to be smart too, but we took the world's kind of smarts, if I can use that word, and our own deeper mystical tradition got lost. Now that doesn't mean there weren't mystics in the last 500 years. We all know saints who got to that level, but you'd have to say, in many cases, they did it in spite of the church. I hate to have to say that. And it was usually people who were humble, people who had suffered a great deal, and people who loved deeply. They got there, but not with any systematic teaching. You see? And the wonderful thing about living in our time is we're recovering that older systematic teaching to train people how to think contemplatively. So any contemplative practice. I think simple people got there on the rosary. I think my own grandmother did. But that was only available to very simple people. Do you understand? Once we got into creating mysteries of the rosaries that we could think about, you lost the contemplative tradition. Once you emphasize thinking, you're not contemplative anymore.
Well, Father Richard, I thank you, and we are really looking forward to this weekend retreat, and I certainly encourage people to look at your books, your CDs, your DVDs, to really start to enjoy and have hope for the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to do it. Makes me happy. Thank you.
Well, I thank you, Father Richard, for your talk tonight. And we welcome all of you to come to Wisdom House, have a retreat here, walk our labyrinth, take some time for yourself. Our programs are listed on our website, which is wisdomhouse.org. Wisdom House is an interfaith retreat and conference center, sponsoring programs in spirituality, education, and the arts. We hope to see you soon.